simple harmonic motion, and a bunch of example of circuits involving resistor, inductor, capacitor, and a pendulum, a damp pendulum example. So, so let's start for the first example. Okay, this is the first example. I will read the problem. The equation of motion of a body oscillating on the end of a spring is d squared x over d2 squared plus 100x is equal to 0, where x is the displacement in meters of the body from its equilibrium position after time t seconds. Determine x in terms of t. Given that at time t is equals to 0, x is equals to 2m, and dx over dt is equals to 0. So this type of problem is an example of a simple harmonic motion. A simple harmonic motion usually has a form like this. Susulat ko na. Susulat na ba? Wait. Yan. Example, ito yung kanyang usually na form, d squared x over d squared, o second derivative of x with respect to t, m squared x is equals to 0. Usually yung m is constant yan. Usually binibigay yan, no? Yeah. So, the first step is looking for the d operator form. Our d is the second derivative of x with respect to time yung t, no? Plus 100. X is equal to 0. And the operator form of this will be d big D squared plus 100 closed quantity times x is equals to 0. So, kukunin natin yung auxiliary equation. Ito yung step 2. Ano ba yung auxiliary equation? Papalitan lang natin yung d sa m. Yung d ng m. Dahil kukunin natin yung part na to. No? Yan. Yan yung ating auxiliary equation. Ang auxiliary equation natin, will be, palitan na natin yung d to m. So, magiging m squared plus 100 will be equal to 0. Kukunin natin yung root ng equation na to. Okay? Actually, kung gagamit kayo ng Casio, no? Yung ES and MS, automatic na yan, no? Kung, ano ba yung, anong function ba yan? Quadratic function, no? So, di natin gagamit ng ano. Shortcutin na lang natin class. Kung kukunin natin yung roots na to, m squared is equals to negative 100. Square root nyo rin. Square root of a negative number is an imaginary number. So, solution nito will be positive or negative j of 10. Since tayo ay electrical engineering, gamit tayo ng j, no? Electrical, electronics, and computer, no? Okay? So, step 3. Since the roots are complex, ang general solution will be yung ating If kung ang M natin is complex, no, yung form na ganito, no? Sa ating previous lesson, previous video tutorial, no? M is equals to A plus minus J of B. Nakuha, wala tayong A since ito is a pure imaginary number. Wala siyang real part. So, meron lang tayong B. Ang ating general solution will be konting review, no? Y is equals to E. Alpha pala to. Alpha plus minus J of beta, no? 8 raised to alpha x A cosine of beta x plus B sine of beta x. So, ito yung magiging solution natin, no? So, let's make the substitution. Since alpha is 0 and beta is 10, no? So, ang x natin, x2, no? Yung ating dependent variable is x and our independent variable is t. So, ito magiging ating solution. Yung y natin dito, magiging x. X is equals to, since e raised to 0, t is equal to 1, di 1 yun, no? Wala tayong di natin lalagyan ng ano, na ibang part, no? So, A, solve pa natin yung A mamaya. Cosine of 10t plus B sine of 10t. Since this example is a boundary condition problem at given to sa problem, no? That's natin konti. Ito yan, yung boundary condition. T is equals to 0 when x is equals to 2m and dx over dt is equals to 0. Masolve natin dyan, class, yung A and B. Ito, solve muna natin ito. Ito yung step 4. So, at t is equals to 0, x is equals to 2. So, since substitute natin, no? Then magiging, gamitin natin itong equation na to. The 2 is equals to A cosine of, higyan natin ng parenthesis pati palito, times 0 plus P sine of 10 times 0. Ito is 0. Ito is 1. So, A will be equals to 2. Yan. So, meron na tayong A. Para naman kunin yung B. Katulad dun sa ating example before, now, not involving application of DE, is kunin natin yung derivative. Ito muna. Okay? So, ano ba yung derivative ng equation na yan? Solve na lang natin, no? dx over dt will be derivative ng a cosine 10t will be negative 10 a sine of 10t. Natin ng parenthesis. Derivative ng b sine of 10t is Positive 10b cosine of 10t. So let's substitute the remaining boundary condition. At t is equals to 0, tx over dt is equals to 0. Madali-dali, no? So, dx over dt is 0. Gamitin natin itong equation na to. Dx over dt is 0. The left side will be 0. Minus 10. Alam na natin yung a. Yung a natin is, ano ba yung a? 2, no? Substitute natin. Times 2 sine of 10 times 0. This will be 0 yan. So, cancel na yung term na yan. Plus 10 b cosine of 10 times 0. Ito magiging 1. So, 0 is equals to 10b times 1. So, 10b lang yan. So, our b will be going to 0. So, a natin is 2, b natin is 0. So, the particular solution of this differential equation or this simple harmonic motion will be x is equals to 2 cosine of 10t. Yan natin. Since this involving meters, ito isang application number. Taas. Yan. Kung may unit, lagay nyo na yung unit sa dulo. No? Since to is involving meters. Meters. Ang spelling niya is British. Lagyan natin ng parenthesis. Kung ito yung sagot nyo sa quiz, kung walang unit, pwede lang yan. Meters. Pwedeng words or pwedeng abbreviation. Okay? Yung plain na sagot na x is equals to 2 cosine 10t, tama rin. Yan. Ito yung first example ng application of second order differential equation. So, next problem time. Our next problem will also involve simple harmonic motion. So, this is the problem. Given the differential equation, the second derivative of b with respect to t, actually time to, no, is equals to omega squared v, where omega is a constant. Show that its solution may be expressed as v is equals to 7 hyperbolic cosine of omega t plus 3 times hyperbolic sine of omega t. Ito na, binigay na yung sagot, no? Ng ating solution. Given ating DE, or differential equation, given the boundary conditions that when t is equals to 0, v is equals to 7. And the derivative of b with respect to t is 3 omega. So, same procedure for the last problems that we solved. So, let's solve it. Step number 1. Medyo makapal siya. Pero okay lang. Yan. Step number 1. So, kunin natin yung d operator form. So, solve natin yung differential equation. D squared v over dt squared is equals to omega squared v. Parang makapal. Sumunod natin konti. Kaya pala malaki. Okay. So, let's have the operator form. Lipat natin sa kabila yung term para yung term sa kabila is 0. So, d squared v over d squared minus omega squared v is equals to 0. The d operator form will be quantity d squared, yung malaking d, minus omega squared times v, yung maliit na lang, is equals to 0. Okay? Yung d natin is d over dx yan. Ito yun. Ito yung part na ating d form. D operator form. So, let's get the auxiliary equation and solve the value of m. So, this part will create the auxiliary equation form. So, yung d natin will be m. So, m squared is equals to omega squared. Constant yung omega. Walang sinabi kung ano siya. Kung anong number o numerical number. Constant siya. Is equals to 0. So, let's solve m. M squared is equals to omega squared. Madali lang yan. No? So, m is equals to positive and negative omega. Since the roots are real and different, step 3, since the roots are real and different, ito yung ating general solution. V is equals to A times E raised to omega t plus B E raised to negative omega t. Kunin natin yung value ng A and value ng B, yung step 4. Yan. Step 4 na tayo. Since our boundary condition is equals to yung taas natin. Balikan natin yung taas. Yan. Medyo maliit lang, no? Ito yung boundary condition natin. Gamitin natin yan sa pagkuha ng A, constant A, capital A, and constant capital B. So, at yung wala mo ng derivative, T is equals to 0, V is equals to 7. Let's use this equation. V is equal to 7. The 7 is equals to A times E raised to omega times 1 plus P times E raised to negative omega times 1. So, 7 is equals to ay, 0 pala yun. Sorry. 0 pala to. Kaya pala di masusunod. 0 to. And this is 0. So, this will be 1. This will be 1. So, our first equation will be 7 is equals to A plus B. We have one equation and two unknowns. Kailangan pa natin ng isang equation. So, let's use the derivative of this equation. This part. So, ang derivative niyan, dv over dt is equals to a omega e raised to omega times t. Parang binaba lang natin yung omega. No? Minus, mag-minus siya kasi minus to. No? Inherent yung kanyang sign. B times omega times e raised to negative omega t. At t is equals to 0, dv over dt is equals to 3 omega. Let's substitute the given values. So 3 omega, the value of dv over dt is 3 omega equals to a omega e raised to omega times 0 minus b omega times e raised to omega times 0. So, 1 na to, no? Ito, 1. So, 3 omega is equals to a omega minus b omega. So, makakancel natin omega kasi both sides has omega. Lima dito. A minus b omega. Cancel doon. So, next equation will be 3 is equals to a minus b. So, we have now two equations and two unknowns. Our equation, first equation will be a plus b is equals to, ano nga ba yan? 7. A minus b is equals to 3. You can use Cramer's rule or you can use the function that you have in your calculator. So, anyways, the shortcut solution will be a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 2. Oh, konting ano, check. 5 plus 2 equals 7. 5 minus 2 equals 3. Tama yung solution. So, our particular solution of our problem will be v is equals to 5 e raised to omega t plus 2 e raised to negative omega t. Okay. Ito yung particular solution. Pero may requirement yung problem. Ang requirement ng problem is, ang sagot is kailangan in hyperbolic, trigonometric form. So, sa problem na to, binigay nito itong talagang sagot. No? Ito yung dapat. So, let's review some hyperbolic trigonometry. Mga formulas ng hyperbolic trigonometry. Yung sine, hyperbolic sine of omega t equals siya class sa 1/2 of quantity e raised to omega t minus e raised to negative omega t. Yung hyperbolic cosine omega t is equals to 1/2 times quantity e raised to omega t plus e raised to negative omega t. Pinagkaiba lang yan yung sign. sa second term, no? Pag inad, yung dalawa, add natin yung dalawa. Sine of hyperbolic sine of omega t plus hyperbolic cosine of omega t will result to e omega t. You can try to solve this. At ito yung dapat lalabas niyan, no? Pag minus naman yung cosine, hyperbolic cosine omega t minus hyperbolic sine omega t, it will result to e raised to negative omega t. So, you see the pattern? Ang pattern is, itong part na to, ito yun. Itong part na to, ito yun. So, let's substitute the results. So, V is equals to 5 times yung mahaba, yung first part, hyperbolic sine omega t plus hyperbolic cosine omega t plus 2 yung kabila naman, isa naman to, hyperbolic cosine omega t minus hyperbolic sine omega t. So, ang like terms will be kung dinistribute natin yung 5, no? At yung 2. Yung like terms ng 5 sine omega t, itong part na to. Itong isang to, no? So, V magiging yung isa, no? De 5 minus, ito yung minus 2 sine hyperbolic sine of omega t. At yung next, itong this part na mayroong 5 yan. And this part na mayroong 2 plus naman. Plus 5 plus 2 times hyperbolic cosine of omega t. So then, ito ay magiging, itong part na to is 3. And this part will be 7. So our final solution of this problem, since yung given sa taas, balikan na natin. Medyo alam ko cosine yung ano eh. Tama nga. Cosine yung nauna. Palitan lang, ano na. I-swap lang natin yung nauna. Cosine pala yung nauna. Oops. So our final solution will be V is equals to 7 hyperbolic cosine of omega t plus 3 sine hyperbolic sine of omega t. This is our final solution of our second order differential equation. So, next problem will involve RLC circuit, or resistor, inductor, and capacitor. Next problem yan. Okay, our next problem will be an RLC circuit This kind of problem you're going to see on circuit 3. The circuit 3 pag-aaralan nyo is electrical transient and three-phase systems. No? So ito yung mga encounter nyo. Ito yung pinakasimple sa lahat. No? RLC, series RLC. So the statement of the problem will be the equation, the second derivative of I on this problem is the current with respect to t time plus R over L times the derivative of the current or I with respect to time plus 1 over LC times I is equal to 0. Represents a current I flowing in an electrical circuit containing resistance R, inductance L, and capacitance C connected in series. If R is equals to 200 ohms, L is equals to 0.20 Henry, and C is equals to 20 times 10 to the negative 6 farads or 20 microfarads, solve the equation for I. Given the boundary conditions that when t is equal to 0, I is equal to 0, and di over dt is 100. Parang ito lang, parang ganito lang yan, guys. Ay, hindi pala naka-click. Natin. Meron tayong voltage source. Pwede natin V of t. Ground, no? Ito yung R. Ito yung L. Ito yung C. Konektado siya sa ground. R, L, C. And the current will flow like this. I of t. Okay. Solve natin yung equation na yan. So, first is get the D operator form. Yan. Step number 1. Get the D operating form. So, solve natin yung equation. D, mabilis lang. D squared I dt plus R over L. Ay, medyo matataba yung sulat ko. Kaya natin kanta. Yan. Di over dt plus 1 over LC times I is equals to 0. Getting the D operator form will be like this. So, yung I natin, ito pala, yung D will be equal to D over dt. Yung I mawala yan. Yung I is parang i-factor natin sa labas. So, quantity, nakita tayo ng second derivative. The second derivative, D squared plus R over L D, yung di over dt plus 1 over LC times I, the independent dependent variable, equals to 0. Step number 2, get the auxiliary equation and solve that equation. The solution of that equation, our D will be converted into M. So, this part, no? So, ating usually quadratic equation naman talaga lagi yan. So, M squared plus R over L M plus 1 over LC equals to 0. In this part, pwede nyo nang i-substitute yung value ng R, L, and C. Ito yung mga value niyan. Mas madaling approach yun, no? Pero let's do the other approach. So, we can solve the value of m using the quadratic formula. So, ano ba yung quadratic formula? Ito yun, no? X is equals to minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Nandito yung a, parang walang a, no? Ito yung b, ito yun. Ito yung c. Itong part na yun. Value ng a natin is 1. Ano yung nagtatagong 1 dyan. So, let's use the quadratic equation. So, x natin is m. M is equals to, substitute all the constants. Yung b natin is r over l, negative r over l, plus and minus square root of b squared, r over l squared minus 4. Ano yung a natin? 1 times c natin is 1 over lc over 2a. Our a is 1, so 2 na lang yung nasa baba. Yun yung isang approach, no? So, alam natin yung R is equals to 200 ohms. Kung natin lagyan ng unit. L is equals to 0.2 henries or 200 millihenry. Our C is equals to 20 times 10 to the 6 or 20 microfarad. So, yung mahaba equation sa taas, lagyan natin ng numbers. So, sulat ko na lang. Sa calculator, pwedeng dire-diretso yun, no? First part is R over L. 200 divided by 0.20 plus and minus 200 over 0.20 squared minus 4 times, baba mo na yung pisa natin, 0.20 times 20 times 10 to the negative 6. 1 over of that divided by 2. So, ang simplified form ng lahat ng yan is 100, 1,000 plus minus. Itong part na to, class, 0 yan. So, undo. Yan. Square root of 0 is 0 divided by 2. So, our answer will be M will be negative 500. Ito yung pinakasimple sa lahat. Since our roots are real and equal, two roots are real equal. Step number 3. So, since the two roots are real and equal. To dalawa talaga yan since quadratic equation. Parehas lang na negative 500. The general solution will be I is equals to A times T plus B times E raised to negative 500T. Yan. Yung M natin, to napunta dun. Okay? So, let's solve A and B. Step number 4. So, at T is equals to 0, I will be equals to 0. So, substitute these numbers into this equation. So, 0 is equals to A times 0 plus B times E raised to 500 times 0. This exponential term will be equal to 1. This part is 0. So our B eventually will be equals to 0. So let's solve naman yung A. A will involve a derivative. So ang derivative, itong part na to, will be di over dt. Since ito is involving products of two terms, product rule, no? So ito mag-iitsura niyan. A times t plus b times yung derivative nung exponential form. Negative quantity natin para malinis tingnan. Negative 500 a raised to negative 500t plus e raised to negative 500t times a. Derivative of this part is only a. Diba? du, ay, paano ba solution? D times uv is equals to u dv plus v du. Remember calculus. So, using yan, may product rule. So, they substitute the boundary conditions at t is equals to 0, di over dt is equals to 100. So 100 is equals to a times 0 plus b. Wait. Plus b times negative 500 e minus to the negative 500 times 0 plus e raised to negative 500 times 0 times a. Ano ba yung a natin? Wala. Ito yung sinusolve, no? Ay, ganyan natin na ano. Pangit tingnan. Since alam na natin yung b, burahin natin yung b. Alam na natin pala to. Uy, 0 siya. So, 0 times 0 is 0. Ito, 1. 0 times 1, 0. Ito lang yung magso-survive. Ito, 1 times a. So, our a will be 100. Remember, b is equal to 0, a is equal to 100. Therefore, our particular solution will be simple as this. I is equals to 100t, ito yung a part, times e raised to negative 500t. And this will be the particular solution of our differential equation. Yan. Kaya lang napadali yung class kasi meron tayong t is equal to 0 at I is equal to 0. No? Kaya napadali. Kung number yon medyo mahaba-haba yan. Okay. At magkakaroon tayo ng hindi, yung roots natin is will be maybe complex or real but not equal. Okay, this is our next problem is will be our last problem. Will involve dumb pendulum oscillation. Our last problem to this session will be involving a dumb pendulum. This kind of problem will going to be seen on the last part of engineering mechanics or in mechanical engineering, mechanical vibrations. So the statement of the problem will be the oscillations of the heavily damped pendulum satisfy the differential equation, the second derivative of x with respect to t, plus 6 times the derivative of x with respect to t plus 8x is equals to 0, where x in centimeter is the displacement of the bob at time t seconds. The initial displacement is equals to positive 4 centimeter, and the initial velocity will be dx over dt is 8 centimeter per second. Solve the equation for x or the particular solution. So, yan. So, every problem, we have 4 steps. So, zoom out natin ng konti. Yan. Para hindi mataba yung aking pagsulat. So, click natin. Okay. So, first part will be involving getting the D operator form. So, sulat natin yung equation. Step number 1. Sulat natin na mabilis. dt squared plus 6 dx over dt plus 8x is equals to 0. X is the displacement, t is time. So the D operator form will be big D squared plus, since 1 lang naman, nagtatago yung 1 dyan. So 6D, ito yun. Medyo mataba yung 6. Yan, 6. Plus 8x plus 8 times x is equals to 0. This will be our D operator form that can be used in the auxiliary form. So auxiliary form, D will be eventually be changed to M. Itong part lang na to ang ating gagamitin. So, the auxiliary equation will be m squared plus 6m plus 8 is equals to 0. Pwede nyo na itong ilagay sa calculator nyo kung yung calculator nyo can solve quadratic equation. So, in algebraic manipulation, pwede naman itong i-factor. Ang factor niya is will be m plus 2 times m plus 4 is equals to 0. In this factor, makukuha na natin yung solution of our quadratic equation. M will be negative 2 or m will be negative 4. I think M1 saka M2. Okay? Since our roots are real and different, since the roots are real different. Ang general solution of this differential equation will be x is equals to a times e raised to 2t plus b times e raised to 4t. Ito yung negative 2, ito yung 4. Okay lang kahit magkabaligtad dyan. It's still, makikita ko sa inyong solution, kung mag-quiz tayo or sit work, parehas magkakabaligtad lang ng term. Pero in the essence, equal sila. So, yan. Step number 4. Let's use the boundary condition to solve A and B. So, at t is equals to 0, our x is equals to 4. So, let's use this general solution. So, our x will be 4 equals to a times e raised to negative 2 times 0 plus b times e raised to negative 4 times 0. This will be 1. This will be 1. So our result will be 4 equals to a plus b. We have one equation, two unknowns. So, kailangan pa natin ng isa pang equation. So, let's have another boundary condition. At t is equals to 0, dx over dt will be 8. Sabi sa problem, kasi the initial displacement is equals to 4. Initial will is a clue that x is equals t is equal to 0. And initial velocity will be 8. Just forget the units. So, kunin muna natin yung derivative ng equation na to. Ang derivative niyan is dx over dt is equals to negative 2a e raised to 2t plus negative 4b. Ito yung negative 2. No? Kanilit para pansin nyo. Ito. Negative kasi yun. So, burayin natin ito. Hindi siya positive. Negative siya. Negative 4b e raised to 40. So, huwag na natin ano yan. Simplify. Lagyan na natin ng mga values. So, our dx over dt will be 8 equals to negative 2 times a e raised to 2 negative 2 times 0 minus 4 b times e raised to negative 4 times 0. Ang mga exponential natin ay magiging 1. So, our equation will be 8 is equals to negative 2a minus 4b. Our system of equation will be, to summarize, our system of equation is a plus b is equals to 4 and negative 2a minus 4b is equals to 8. You can use Kramer's rule or you can use your calculator to solve the value of A and B. And the solution will be A is equals to 12 and B is equals to negative 8. Oh, fast check. 12 plus minus 8 will be 4. So 12 times negative 2, 24. 4 ay negative na. And negative 4 times negative 8, the 8, negative 8 is positive 32. Negative 24 plus 32 is 8. Tama yung ating value ng A and B. So, our particular solution of this second order differential equation will be x is equals to 12 e raised to 2t minus 8 e raised to 4t. This alone, kung nakita ko sa inyong quiz, tama na yan. Pero yung mas tama, since we involving units, ano ba unit natin? Meters ba? Uy, centimeters pala, no? Centimeters sa ating unit. Nalagyan nyo lang naman ng ng parenthesis, both sides. So, yung totoong yung mas correct is will be 12 quantity 12 e raised to 2t minus 8 e raised to negative 40 close quantity in centimeters. This two equation is correct when I see in your paper, in your sheet work or quiz. So ito yung last problem. Okay, class, that will be the end of our
Ayan, sakto na, 221. So, yung ating module, ano ba yung module natin? Yan. Saan nga ba yun? Ayun. Yan. Kung may